We do have with us online agriculture consultant and businessman Donny Rogers. Special good evening to you, sir.
Hi, good evening, sir. How are you?
Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure hearing you, of course. Thank you so much for taking time out for linking with us. We're seeing a trend where farmers are under siege by criminals. Some, of course, are now forced to sell their livestock for pennies on the dollar. And according to what is being said here, we've had those who were mercilessly beaten and robbed by gunmen, several livestock farmers in the country who are now at the mercy of criminals. Tell us about your experience and what's taking place.
Well, this issue of farmers getting attacked, it has been a very vicious issue where a couple of years ago, I remember there was a farmer in Waterfield who we met with afterwards. After his ordeal, he was hog-tied, beaten, he was robbed, his family was assaulted. Last week or so, we had another farmer who was hog-tied and beaten and assaulted and stuff like that. And this is in conjunction with stealing animals, stealing their equipment, their vehicles. And what is happening is that it is a major disincentive to anyone continuing in agriculture locally. Because this is aside from the pre-deer larceny issue, where we have seen, as it relates to livestock, we have seen numerous heads of livestock, sheep, goat, cattle. To say the least is not to say that chickens and ducks aren't stolen.
Right.
Being stolen any time of day or night. You know, farmers would go to their fields and see probably just the head alone of a cattle, you know, of one of the animals just left there with the innards and the skin. And it's a very, very serious issue. My personal issue on this came up some time ago, where in overnight I lost 8 animals, 8 cows. The value was just about $90,000 to $100,000, and that presents a serious issue to the milk producers. Fresh cow's milk and the dairy sector in general is a subsector of the agricultural sector that is dying. Our local milk producers are just deciding this is not worth it anymore.
And this, let me ask you, Donny Rogers. According to what we've been hearing, has any of these farmers ever applied for gun licenses to protect their family, their livelihood? And if so, what seems to be the hindrance? Why is it that they've never been granted firearm licenses?
Well, from the information that we have, we have never had a report where bandits went into a farm and they were chased away owing to the farmer being able to protect himself with a fire. So I would say the farmers who have firearms would be almost nil. And from my knowledge, I know that land tenure is one of the criterion that is used in the firearm application process for a farmer. And locally, I believe the statistics are over 65% of farmers, of producing farmers, do not have land tenure. So we can understand where the issue comes in. You know, the farmers who would have land tenure, the remaining 35% or so, that would be small holdings like 2 acres and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And those may not really fall into that category where a firearm could be issued.
And let me ask you this. I mean, I don't know if you have a figure as to how much all of this would cost, because usually when it has to trickle down, it trickles down to the consumer. We, the consumers, have to pay more for the mere fact that now you have farmers who are under siege. But when you deal with agriculture on the whole here in Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, I try my best. I'm going to try my best to bring this across without getting angry at any point in time. But I am so fed up of hearing about the fact that there are no access roads, there's no security. Basically, it seems as though the Ministry of Agriculture, the purpose, the objective, whatever reason that they may have as far as functioning, never seems to produce anything to assist the farmers. And the mere fact too that farmers have not adopted much of the modern technology as far as having their cattle, I mean their GPS, there are things that you can operate from your phone. But I know that at this point in time, there hasn't been any training for that and so forth. But it always seems as if the farmers themselves are just part of a livelihood, trying to carve out a livelihood, but it seems to be going nowhere. And why is that?
Well, okay, so I would answer that question in a few parts. One, as it relates to the ministry. In 2016 or thereabouts, there was an independent study done by the Ministry of Agriculture, I believe, that an independent report was published that identified what should have taken place with the pre-delarceny unit and how to develop it and how to build it. An article, by virtue of an article recently in the newspapers, none of those recommendations were enacted to date by the current government. So that will say something outright. The pre-delarceny unit is severely understaffed. They are severely under-equipped. I believe for the entire country there is one vehicle, and not a new vehicle by the way. I understand that...
No, hold on a second. There's only... The pre-delarceny squad only has one working vehicle?
Only one vehicle to my knowledge, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
For the entire country, yeah.
For the entire country.
They probably have about 24, 25 officers at best. When I went into the pre-delarceny unit in Carson Field some time ago, there were only 2 officers on a shift. That is, when you have 2 officers on a shift, all they could do is just entertain your report. They cannot leave, they cannot do anything. On the other issue of GPS for animals and stuff like that, usually if you look at a cow, if you're driving, in a farm area, some animals you will see them tagged, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we were to take in consideration recent reports, and even what I just said, where farmers coming and seeing the head of the animal left behind. Now remember, the cows are tagged in the air. So if they go and cut off the head, it takes nothing to cut off the ear or the tag and leave it behind. From my research, we don't have any technologies where you could get an insertable GPS, sort of like, something like a bullet, right? That could go under the skin. That will be the only way in which someone can locate. Now, that tag that you normally see is an RFID, which is radio frequency identification.
Right.
So it's not really for GPS, it's not really for locating, it's just primarily for identifying when you are near to the animal.
All right, but when these animals are stolen, they have to end up in some butcher's shop. Somebody has to kill the animal, somebody has to cut it and process it and put it on the market for sale, because I don't think people are just simply taking these things and leaving them in the backyard. There has to be a process.
Well, let me tell you what's going on. And this is coming from my own personal investigation when I lost my animals, because I had to do it on my own. The pre-delarceny unit and the police did almost nothing. Right? My investigation led me to one of my animals being kept by a butcher, and this animal was stolen from Carson Field, and I found my animal deep south, right, in the possession of a butcher. Now, what also happens is that when these guys steal animals, they would either butcher it on your farm. Now, remember, farm is 20, 40 acres and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's a large expanse. They would either butcher it on your farm, some of the bandits are farmers as well. They are farmers as well, so they will walk across the animal to an abandoned plot or an abandoned farm or something like that, butcher the animal and transport meat. And the police know this, the predial larceny officers know this. It's just they have no means to be on the road and stop and search or look into vehicles and look and see what's going on the road. So the roads are not policed by the officers, and that is why even when bandits butcher the animal on your property or an abandoned property or somewhere and they transported meat, there's no way that they're going to be stopped. And we have had no reports of anyone being arrested with meat that they cannot account for. There's been none. Zero.
Right. And the bottom line is the farmers are losing a lot of money. And of course, this trickles down to the consumer who has to dip in his pocket or purse or whatever the case may be, and of course find more to pay. And of course, due to what's happening, more and more of these incidents are taking place, especially with the backdrop of crime and criminality in our country. So definitely, where do we go, and what role does the ministry play in all of this?
Well, our meat locally is not competitive to the imports. Use goat, for instance, right? We have a very high import bill with goat meat. Local goat meat last year, Christmas was what? $55, $60, and you would get imported that's way cheaper. Now that is primarily because of what farmers have to face with regards to prices on the market for being able to feed their livestock, for livestock being stolen.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously the cost is passed on. Farmers have no choice. Otherwise, they'll just end up out of business. So, number one, we are uncompetitive as it relates to imported product, and nothing has been done for this. What the ministry needs to do is very, very simple. Equip the predial larceny unit to where it needs to be. Resource them, have manpower available, make certain changes to the legislation that gives predial larceny officers the power to stop and search under certain conditions, and enforce the entire circle that includes officers, resources, equipment, and law. And once you could do that, things should get better. They will be able to police the roads.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest, the farmers are now sitting ducks, because now if let's say these thieves get between 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of beef to sell in one night, that could come up to all $50,000-$60,000. And the fact of the matter is that this could be an organized group, because they're like, so who's going to come catch us? They have one vehicle. They need it for all of Trinidad and Tobago, just one vehicle. And if they come, what are they going to do? Because are they armed? And if they are armed, I mean, are they willing to take the chance? There's only 24 of them, and this could be organized in a way that people are making big money. I mean, 5,000-6,000 pounds, again, it could be $50,000-$60,000 when you take 4 or 5 animals. So at the end of the day, really and truly, these farmers are sitting ducks.
That is very correct. It is organized crime. People still tend to think that predial larceny is a small thing, It is not.
Yeah.
When you go into a farm and you steal 2 and 3 animals, I lost 8, right? One cow that I had would be 1,600 pounds. So that will tell you, you get 1,200 pounds of meat, where beef is $25-$30. These guys will sell it to butchers. Obviously, it's going to sell to a butcher, obviously.
Yeah.
And if a butcher getting meat at half price, it ain't coming from a legal source.
There you go.
Right? It's not coming from a legal source.
But the main important thing is it's a big turnover. Donny, I want to thank you so much for taking time out. You've really given us a lot of information. I mean, the mere fact that all of this is taking place, the predial larceny squad is not functioning, efficiently, and at the end of the day, the farmers are under siege by criminal elements. And It goes on and on.